All righty.
Talk loud.
Okay. Not sure if you can hear me yet or not. Okay, Hayden says you guys can hear me. And good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning here where I am in Oregon, and we have a lot of people spread across the US. And I'll just give this a little minute here to see if anyone signs on. Do you see people on there? Oh, good. We have some viewers. Okay, say hello in the chat box if you're out there, because I'd love to know who's on here. Great, great. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. This is our first webinar for the course. We're going to have 5 total, and just super excited for the questions we got. Please be sure to say hi in the chat box if you're here so I know who's there. Oh, good. Anna. Hey, Anna. Hi, Lori. And Amy and Rachel. Welcome. And so I know, let's see, Terry and Kathy. Oh, hey, Kathy. And I got to meet Kathy. She's in Missouri and her dad lives in Oregon. How cool is that? So they came to visit him and stopped by our farm store a couple weeks ago. And that was really fun. And I met somebody else in the group when I was at the conference this weekend in California. So it's fun to meet you guys in person. And Caroline from Ohio, Sally from Virginia, Amy. Hi, Amy. Hi, Rainey. Yay, everyone. I feel like I know you already from the Facebook group too. So Susan, I cannot believe it. I am here. Oh, Susan, let's see. She must have told us. You had a conflict or something? I'm sorry, I don't remember, but there was some reason you couldn't be here and now you're here. So welcome. Thank you. This is great. So the recording will go out afterwards. I have so many wonderful questions. You're going to get a ton of information in this webinar. I'm going to send out the recording too. I will probably also have it transcribed so you can get the notes. That's kind of expensive. It's by the minute. So I'm going to hopefully do that. And if we go for 100 minutes, it's $100, it gets more and more. But hopefully I'm going to do that so you can get the transcription too. And you can ask questions too through here. I can see the comment box, but I have some slides. Hey, Jennifer. That I'm going to go through that you guys can follow along on. And my daughter Hayden is here. She's my tech person, so she's going to get the slides loaded, and we're going to jump in. All right, so as we go through the slides and I answer your questions, you can ask follow-up questions too. I just want you to know you can do that. Hayden's here too to make sure that I see your questions. So let's go ahead. First of all, I wanted to start with some aha moments. One thing, so this is from Amy. A few people have told me already that, oh my gosh, the course already paid for itself, which of course, as a course writer, is one of the most wonderful things I can hear. So I love hearing things like that. Amy, of course, figuring out the ideal customer has been a little challenging because they're kind of diverse at this point, and they are when you first start. But it is somehow empowering to focus on one person and run with that description, knowing that I can change it later if necessary. I think that my biggest surprise is that I have been marketing to myself, but my ideal customer is not necessarily me. This makes so much sense. I am excited to see what more I learn. Amy, you bring up some good points here. I think, oh, sorry, Hayden, you got that wrong. That was Amy Rohrer, not Amy Herrera. And I'm very sorry that happened because I hate when people mess up my name too. Yeah, we won't let that happen again. My crazy daughter. Anyway, it's very important to remember that you can wake up and change your ideal customer in any given moment. One thing I did was when I first created my ideal customer 4 years ago, at least maybe 5, our milk, it's raw milk, and we have a weird law in Oregon that you only have 3 cows or fewer, which means it's very expensive to produce on that small scale. Everything is done one by one, and it's terrible. So the milk is more expensive. And I kept getting customers who were wanting the milk, but complaining it was too expensive. And I finally woke up one day and was like, my ideal customer would understand that raw milk in Oregon especially is going to be more expensive, and they understand that you pay now or you pay later with your health, and they don't question, they trust me completely, and they don't question that that's the price I have to get. And I changed my ideal customer description, and it's just very interesting because it changes your outlook on your customers, and it changes how you write your marketing materials. So those people dropped away. Now, I know that out in the world, I have people that condemn me for my milk prices or something, but I don't care. I mean, guess what? 7 years later, I'm still in business, and every single raw milk dairy that was around when I started is gone. And every other raw milk dairy lasts 2 years at the most. We're still here serving our hundreds of customers. So darn it, I wanted an ideal customer who appreciated that. So I changed my description, and that's what I got. So just know, good point, Amy, that you can change that. Your ideal customer will evolve all the time. And as you discover things you want her to have or traits, you can change that too. And yes, your ideal customer is not necessarily you. I had several people say that. You know, we're experts. We are farmers. We're good at what we do. So if we want an ideal customer who is educated as we are in food or production or farming, that's not going to be the case because we're the experts. So she will be similar to us, maybe, especially in values and maybe her ethics, but she won't be like you. She's not going to be the same level as you. So great question. All right, this is Seth and Rainey. And when they were ready to sell their products, a friend asked to sell to her wholesale through her store. Unfortunately, we did not grow into selling off-farm as we needed. We're now trying to move in that direction with the majority of sales being retail off-farm. So that's a challenge that it's a learning lesson when you start. You know, you're producing products, you just need to sell them. So often we make decisions to do things like, oh, we'll sell them in our friend's farm stand, you know, but then of course, she's getting all the, those are her ideal customers, not necessarily yours. So it's almost like you're starting from scratch when you want to sell your own product out of your own venue because you're going to market to a different type of person. So that's wonderful that you recognize that. And, you know, it's so much trial and error in farming. So, all right, let's move on to Kathy. Kathy's in Missouri, and that's the Kathy that was out at our farm a couple weeks ago. It was so wonderful for her to stop by. Her and her husband both. Kathy, I love the part about using customers' own words to speak back to them. I have liked posting on our website with permission happy things our customers say about their experience, but this takes it to a new level. I can see now that honing that point on identifying their needs, wants, and marketing to those is better than just slewing them with all the current lingo and expecting them to latch on. Yes, that doesn't work, but using their words, their exact words, when they send you an email, I have a Google Doc, and when someone sends me an email and says, we did this with your products, or your products make me feel this way, I copy and paste that to the Google Doc so that later when I'm changing my about page or my products page or anything on my website, I look through what my customers' words are that they're using because they're going to be different than my words. I paste those on my website, and then other people read them and think that I read their mind, like I've said. So yes, it's extremely valuable to use their words and know what they're using your products for. All right, let's talk a little bit. I've got some questions on website. Excuse me. So Christine Center said, I have too many things in my head and can't remember all the details specifics to defend my positions as to why we do what we do on the ranch. I had thought that I could put a resources reference page on my website with the information so that I could direct my customers there to get more educated if they wanted or needed. What are the pros and cons of doing that? So the first thing I want to point out on this is that Christine says, I can't remember the details to defend my positions. So I said, my ideal customer would not make me defend my position. They would not make me defend my practices. They would not make me defend why I produce raw milk. They wouldn't make me defend why I do what I do on my farm with my animals. They wouldn't challenge me. So I suggested maybe either that's not the word she wants to use, or she wants to re-identify an ideal customer that would not make her defend that. Because remember, people buy when they trust you and like you and have a relationship with you. People who trust you, like you, have a relationship, don't make you defend things. So through taking this course, you will naturally get to a customer that does not make you defend yourself. Therefore, her answer to that was, should I put a resources or reference page on your website? When you do that, you are sending people away from your website. So you've worked really hard to get people to find your website, and then you have a link to a Weston Price article on grass-fed beef, and all of a sudden they have gone to the Weston Price website and they won't come back to your website. So do not put resources or references on your page. I had a student in our class last spring, and she lives nearby our farm, and she was so wonderful. She said, you know, people ask us for raw milk all the time, so I put a link to your farm on our website. And I said, no. I said, you know, if it was just about money, I'd say yes, that I wouldn't say anything. But I'm here to, you know, you're my student. I'm here to teach you. You trust me. Take that down, because you're sending people to our website. And not only that, I sell eggs and you sell eggs. So they're going to say, hey, I could get my raw milk and my eggs at Charlotte's farm. So they won't even come to your farm anymore, because they've got, you know, one-stop shopping. So I told her, take our link to our farm. As grateful as I was that she did that, take it off your website. So any links to outside sources need to come off your website, because you're paying a lot of money and you're working really hard to get customers there. However, Christine still needs to educate her ideal customers. That will be done through very relationship building blog posts. It's going to be slower, but it needs to be slower. You don't want to send out an email to your email list referencing a blog post with 10 links to grass-fed beef articles. You know, you want to go one, you know, if you're only blogging and emailing your list once a month, well, then you're going to do one article on, you know, the benefits of grass-fed beef, and you're going to do the research yourself, reference where you got the information from, and put that in there. Then when your customers say, potential customers say something like, I would love to buy grass-fed beef from you, but I need a little more help understanding why I should do that. You could send them then your blog post. Say, oh, I wrote a blog post all about that. Here it is. I do this all the time on both my farm and my marketing. When someone says, you know, I don't know, you know, how can I make my website more effective? I will send them the blog post I wrote on 3 tweaks they can do to make their website more effective immediately. So you want to be the resource for your customers, and this will go slow. That means a resource page would have, you know, 20 articles on there, but you're not going to do that. You're going to do it blog post by blog post, so that a year from now, you will have every resource and reference in your blog posts. Okay, hopefully that makes sense there. So mostly cons of doing that. The other thing is, if you just send someone to a resource page, you're not interacting with them or building relationship with them like you are when you write a blog post about it, answering that question. So hopefully that all makes sense. Ask questions if it doesn't. All right, let's move on to Caroline McCulloch. Do I need a website before actually starting my business? Caroline, you need a website to build an email list, which you definitely want to do before you start your business. After you start your business is second best. Before you start your business is ideal. And of course, I think hopefully you know we have a free training on our website where Hayden walks you through setting up your own website in Squarespace, which will cost you about, I think, $16 a month to maintain. So it's very cheap. So it's easy to get a 2 or 3 page website up. That's the only way you can get your email list signups on there. You have to, and this is due to spam laws. You have to have a website where they can sign up with their email list and opt in. So it's by law that's required to do what we're teaching in this course. So yes, definitely do it before you start your business. And ideal customers, questions on that. And remember, you can ask questions anytime if you want more on something or a different focus or something. Okay, this just came in this morning from Anna. Anna is in South Dakota. She runs a CSA, a beautiful model where it's kind of custom. You can choose what you want. Now, I love Anna's question, and I have a few things to say about it. She says, how smart should your ideal customer be? Put another way, should I choose a dumb ideal customer or a smart ideal customer? I'm tempted to choose a smart ideal customer. Aren't we all? We want them to come to us already knowing a lot of things, but they don't. For example, Anna should she know how to cook without a recipe? She knows which vegetables are in season at certain times. She knows how to can and freeze. But it sounds like your Jennifer, she's meaning my ideal customer, that you have chosen is rather dumb. Sorry to be blunt, but I'm not sure how else to phrase this question. So there must be a reason that you chose to go with an uneducated ideal customer. And she goes on to say if she chose a smart one, she wouldn't have to write so many details when I'm making a blog post. I could just say roast the eggplant. And of course, her ideal customer would already know how to do that. But if I'm writing to a customer who is still in cooking kindergarten, I would need to tell them preheat the oven to 425, slice the eggplant, brush with 2.125 teaspoons of coconut oil, etc. So Anna, there's a few things on this. First of all, you run a CSA, you garden, you sew, you are different than most people out there. Let's see, I'm 50 years old, Hayden is 23 years old, and between us, hardly any of the women we know cook. Our friends don't cook. They eat at Costco, and that's not our choice of friends. That is the world. It's really hard. Anna, I'll bet it's kind of hard to find people just like you. Although if you're networking with other farmers mostly, and that's who you're hanging out with, of course they can cook. But most people today do not know how to cook. So, and the other thing I want to say is be careful. I know you don't mean the word dumb, and you said that's the only way you know how to put it. If you think in your mind, oh, my customers are so dumb, I have to tell them what I mean when I say roast the eggplant. If you think that, that will come through in your marketing materials. It will come through in your email to them. So I would suggest it's a technique I call reframing. So right now you're thinking there, the word dumb. I need you to reframe that into they are unblemished. Right now you've got these unblemished customers that have not learned how to cook wrong. So you can teach them from scratch. Okay, you can teach them from the very beginning. And when you look at it that way, it makes your emails you write to your customers and your blog posts much more encouraging and inviting, and something they're going to enjoy reading, and they're going to feel really good reading it, versus if you write it from a place of, oh my gosh, my customers are so dumb, I have to go back to square one. That is going to come through in your writing, and they're going to feel really bad reading your email. It's very subtle. This is subtle. This is kind of not to be woo-woo, but it's almost like an energy. So the energy of your email, when you think they are in cooking kindergarten and that's a really great thing, is different from the energy you feel in an email where you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're so uneducated, I have to teach them the basics. All right, does this make sense, Anna? So you have to change your thinking that they're not dumb, but they are experts. I'm sure there are areas of their life where they are very great experts. So an example, I have women who are CEOs of big corporations who come in driving very fancy cars, very expensive clothes, and they'll walk up and they'll say, okay, my gut is terrible. I've had terrible acid reflux and gut problems for years, and I heard I have to heal my gut, and what's bone broth? And I'll explain it, and I'll say, you take these bones and put them in water and you have bone broth. And they'll be like, what? What do you mean you take bone? That's a cow bone. They have they've never even seen a cow bone. They didn't know you could put chicken in water and make broth, you know. So I could think, oh my God, these women are so dumb, but I don't. I think these women have done other things with their life than I have. They're experts in other areas. And I get the opportunity to take, you know, very baby steps from the very beginning, you know, and mold them the way I want them. I don't have to help them overcome bad cooking. Okay. So hopefully that helps you, Anna, and let me know if it doesn't. Very good though, because all of us as farmers, especially, we're going to be experts at a lot of things that our ideal customers are not, and you can't condemn them for it. Also, your ideal customer will get educated over the years. So 5 years from now, you will find that your customer base knows a lot more than they did when you started. And that's because you are going to educate them over time and bring them up, and you will attract more educated people that way. All right, so that's a big answer to your question, and hope that helps. All right, Kathy says, my ideal customer must come with a burning desire to beg the farmers to let them learn to milk cows and do all the chores so the farmer can take a vacation. Now, you may think I'm being tongue-in-cheek, but these people do exist. We were just able to take a lovely vacation to see family out west and visit our farm too, because we asked. They asked their customers, and I'm always in awe of people who really do get it. They are awesome. So Kathy brings up a very good point here that, and someone else brings it up again in the future. What if my customer is a unicorn? Okay, so meaning they don't really exist. So you might think at first glance like, wow, that's a really nice idea Kathy has, burning desire to beg the farmer to let them learn to milk the cows. Ha ha, they don't exist. But there are some things you can put in your ideal customer description, and guess what? They will show up. So, and the reason they show up is because if that's in your ideal customer description, the way you write and the way you communicate and the things you will put on your website will invite building relationship with those types of people. So if you're thinking, oh, this is just too crazy to put in my description, put it in there anyway and see how crazy it is. It might just surprise you and work out to help you. Okay, Karen said, is it a good idea to do a giveaway to move people to your website or email list? I would like to give an eighth of beef or turkey for this. Karen, next module, we're going to talk about what you do give away to get people on your email list, okay? And that is the lead magnet. And we have several videos helping you figure out what it is you're going to give away. I do not recommend farmers give away beef or turkey or product. You can, there's a reason you might, but to get on your email list, then their first experience with you is that you give away or you discount. So you're going to attract people to your email list who expect discounts or giveaways in the future. And that's not good for your business because our profit margins are so narrow. So we have something you can give away that people will be very excited to get, and it didn't cost you a thing. And that's what we spend next module on. So I don't recommend coupons or products, except only in a very rare occasion, and I can explain that later. But you will have something to give them in the next module. Good question. Okay, and all these are just amazing questions. I love all these high achievers that are really digging in. Christine Center says, so it looks like Charlotte's ideal customer is also my ideal customer, except mine doesn't shop at Anthropologie. How do I cater to my ideal customer without being a copycat? Well, Christine, so I am your first introduction to the idea of an ideal customer. So it's only natural that when I describe my ideal customer, you're going to say, oh, wow, I have this, mine are women and mine are age 40 and mine have 2 children. So of course, you're going to relate to what I said in mine because it's brand new to you. But as time goes on, don't worry, we're going to differentiate somehow. And also the other thing is, you're not a copycat because for one thing, you don't live next door. But even if you did, because of our unique personalities, I don't even know you, but I mean, in person, I've just talked to you on the phone, but 2 people are so different. So you and I may share the same values and ethics, but when we get down to our behaviors or what we're good at or what we read in our spare time or our hobbies and our capabilities and our education and our children and their activities, when we get down to that nitty-gritty level, we're going to be two completely different people, and so will our ideal customers. So you're not being a copycat. Start out with what you've got so far, and know that as you work through talking to people, you're going to fine-tune her, and she will end up looking very different than my person a year from now or 2 years from now, down the road. So don't worry about it. It's natural. That's my biggest point. All right, Lori Jo Hernandez. We're planning on starting a specialty cut flower farm next spring. As I was working through the ideal customer material, I had a specific person in mind. While talking about her to my husband, he asked me, what if she is a unicorn? What if there is no one else out there like her that thinks like her? She sounds perfect, but is she the only one like that? A good question, and I appreciated him playing devil's advocate. What if she is the only one? Since our business has not yet started, no website, still working on naming our farm, legalities, it's tricky to figure out our customers and know if there will be a strong enough customer base in our area to support our venture. Okay, let me take a drink. All right. So I referred to this a couple slides ago. What if she is a unicorn? Well, she may or may not be, but you need to start somewhere. And like Kathy Weimont said, put it out there to the universe, because Kathy did that. She wanted an ideal customer who would beg to learn to milk the cows so she could go on vacation. And that's what showed up for her. So put it out there. And it is great to have devil's advocates ask those questions, but also it's good to be really super open-minded and not get dissuaded right away, not worry, what if she's the only one? Go after it, put that out there. And then as you talk to people, you might find, and I might be curious to hear your ideal customer description, so if you get a chance, type it in there. What is that about her that makes her a unicorn? But I doubt it, because it's just proven to me over and over again in both my business, but also our students, that they can say, this is what I want my ideal customer to be like. And guess what? She starts showing up, even if they think that's really a far out thing. So go with it. And if it turns out it is absolutely impossible, you'll see that and you will update her. But I don't think so, unless you're asking something really, crazy. But and also a description would help. But anyway, go for it. That's what I want to encourage you to do. All right, let's go to solving problems. Teresa, hi. Teresa, I'm wanting to start a raw milk farmstead artisan cheese business. Part of my motivation is to try to save the few remaining small dairies in my area. I'm just beginning to look into this, so no products, no customer base, and no idea who my ideal customer would be. My first thought was, how does cheese solve anyone's problem? Any suggestions on Facebook groups that might be interested in raw milk cheese? Any other suggestions on how to learn who my ideal customers might be? All right, so Teresa, I assume that since you want to start this business, you know that you're gonna have some cheese customers, right? Your motivation is to help save the few remaining small dairies. But are you doing something different enough that is, were they selling cheese and went out of business? Then you want to find out. What I'm getting at is make sure there's a demand for your product, of course. And if there's a demand, you already know that, because you've been talking to people, you've been talking to someone, and you've told them that you want to start a raw milk farmstead and an artisan cheese business. So then as soon as you say that, what do they ask you? What do they say? Do they say, oh, what kind of cheese are you going to make? And then you tell them. And when you tell them, I'm going to make soft cheese, they say, oh my gosh, then what about this or that? So look at those questions, because you've been discussing this with somebody, whether it's your girlfriends or with me, it was my mom's group where the kids were playing and we're sitting there talking. And I said, I'm going to start a raw milk dairy. And so I listened to the questions they asked. The other thing is any suggestions on Facebook group. So all you guys, you can go on Facebook and you could do a search. You could type in raw milk cheese. That's all you have to type in. And then all across the menu bar on the top are different things you can look at, like groups, is it just a keyword? And you can look for groups, and you could put your state or your city in there and get Facebook groups in your area. And then you can see what people are using raw milk cheese for. Okay, now back to your idea of how does cheese solve anyone's problem? Well, that's where you want to listen to your customers or your potential customers, your friends. So if they say, oh, I can't wait for you to start your dairy because I use cheese as a snack for my family. It's our fast food when we have all our sporting events. So there you have a customer, an ideal customer perhaps right there, who's using your cheese for convenience to feed her family a healthy food before sporting events, so they don't have to make a trip through disgusting Taco Bell or something. So, and then see how you could work those words into your website. Does that make sense? And then, or maybe you have a customer that says, oh, I'm so excited for you to start your raw milk dairy because I love serving cheese. I love this kind of cheese with my favorite wine. On Saturdays we have friends over and we serve it and it's perfect and they're always so impressed. So therefore, ideal customer potential right there. And that's, you could write a blog post on our cheeses go well with this wine. We've, and this is how our customer uses cheese. You're solving her problem of wanting to impress her friends that come over to a dinner party and using your cheese to do that. Maybe someone else says, oh, I love using soft cheese as my baby's first food. And so see right there, you've got 3 different ways people are solving problems with cheese. And that's just off the top of my head. I don't even know, that's just an idea. I know those exist out there. So listen to people when you tell them you're going to start a raw milk dairy. What do they say? When you say, I was thinking about selling cheese, I was thinking about selling farmstead cheese, what would you use that for? Listen to what they say to you. And that's how they use it to solve a problem. And then everyone should be searching on Facebook for a group. Homesteaders groups would give you ideas on ideal customers too. All right, so here's some questions on if you don't have a business yet. Harry Smith said, being optimistic, excuse me, we're hoping to be on the farm by spring. I have no products to sell. I have no website, but I have an appointment next week to have that taken care of. My question, how can I build an email list without first having a farm or at least products to sell? If I started blogging and talking about the benefits of grass-fed meat and raw milk, wouldn't I be pushing those potential customers to find farmers who are actually selling the products that I would be promoting? All right, this is great. Let me get another drink of water. So there are a few people in your position, Harry, and starting their farm next year. And you're at this is a great time to have a website and start building your email list. I brainstormed super quick after I read your email. And the first few things I thought of are that your blog, until you start your farm, could be a personal blog. Now, I don't know your story, but maybe why did you start farming? Or why did you decide to start your farm? What happened in your life to make you start deciding to farm? Is there a story there that you could blog about? Is it a big story that it could be 3 blog posts? And since you're just starting out, you only need 1 blog post a month till your farm opens up. And if you're planning on having product by next summer, that's 5 or 6 months, 5 or 6 blog posts. That could be really easy to write. It could be your journey to starting a farm. So as an example, maybe you had a revelation on your health, you had something happen, and you realized if you don't quit your job because it's so stressful and change careers, you're going to have a heart attack, and so therefore you're moving to farming. Well, that kind of story is going to connect with so many people. They're going to love a blog post about that, all right? And this could be a series of blog posts. It doesn't have to be one, because you don't want really long blog posts. You want them to be a length that your audience is going to read. So it could be part 1 of 3 parts of why I decided to become a farmer, if that's an interesting story. It could be our journey building our farm and a learning lesson, so it could be something like you said, let's see, how identifying the land. Like it could be a blog post on, we found the right piece of land. It's set over here. And this all is about the journey towards your farm being open next year. What you're doing when you send out these blog posts of, oh, we identified the land, it's got trees on it and some grass, and we're gonna have to put in some pastures. There's an old rickety barn, and we, just make these very descriptive and kind of a story about that. People are going to be excited. You're going to build up so much excitement for your farm to finally start next spring that it will be very easy to ask them to share this and forward this with your friends. People will be attracted to it, and they want in on your story, so that when you finally have your first product to sell next year, you'll be sold out. All right. So that's the kind of excitement you want to build. The other thing I thought of when I was doing this little brainstorm is you could say something like, I forget if you're doing, grass-fed meat. Okay. So I'm going to say you're doing grass-fed beef. You could have a blog post that says something like, well, until we get our own farm going, the grass-fed beef options are really slim. And I found myself picking up a small roast at Safeway last week, even though it came from Australia and, was eating scrub and not really grass. It's the best we can do. But I did make this lovely recipe that I can't wait to try on my own grass-fed beef when it's ready next summer, or whatever, chickens, whatever it might be. And you include the recipe in there. So what you've done there is you sort of dissed the whole, like this bad grocery store meat, that we have to suffer through until our farm is going. People are going to relate to that, and they'll think, wow, I have to buy meat at Safeway too, and I can't wait till Harry and his wife get their beef running, or chicken, or whatever it is. So see what I'm doing there? You're not sending them to neighboring farms. And this is how, when I built up my farm, I had our raw milk sold out before I ever brought our first cow home. Because I had that relationship with people, they did not want to go to other farms. They were like, no, I know I could get raw milk elsewhere, but I trust you. I like you. I want to buy from you. I'm going to wait for you. So you can have the exact same experience. All right. So let me know if that helped you with your question. Okay, and Caroline has a question to the side. Should a personal blog be separate from the farm website? All right, Caroline, so I'm going to, blogging, everything we're talking about here is it's time consuming. If you're running a farm, I'm going to venture to guess that you don't have time to keep both a personal blog and a farm website. Now, my farm website is very much wrapped up in my personal activities because they all revolve around the farm. So when something happens in my family, it affects the farm, it affects my farm store customers, and I'm going to share it on my website. So I don't have a personal blog because my friends don't care. If they want to know what I'm doing, they can look on Facebook or Instagram or something. They don't have time to just read a personal blog. So your blog, if it's a personal blog, like I mentioned to Harry about gearing up to open his farm, it needs to be right there on his farm website. And because he is his farm, he is his marketing. People are going to come to Harry to buy meat because of who he is. They're going to come to you because of who you are. So your personal blog should be part of your farm website. It should be incorporated. Okay, you haven't started the business yet. Yeah. So you want to be careful, and make sure it's related to the farm, but it can be your personal journey. So the same thing would work for you, Caroline. Okay, so I'm hoping this is helping. Also know that there's like a 20-second delay. So if you put your comment in there and I don't answer right away, it's because I didn't see it. There's a delay whenever we do a webinar. So that's why that happens. All right, so hopefully that helps. That if you're telling, but Caroline, you can incorporate personal stories. So say you have 3 kids and you're getting ready to do eggs, you're going to sell eggs next year. You can have pictures of, well, we've decided where we're going to put our egg mobile. And look, my husband found these old tires and the 3 kids are out there having fun with them, pushing things around on the farm, So here you are telling a story about your children and your husband and an experience you had on a Saturday afternoon, but it is geared towards marketing your farm that will happen next year. It's building relationship. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Also, this will make more sense in future modules where we get more into that. All right, and Curtis got this question in this morning. How do you go about it if you don't have any customers that you want more of? We can create an ideal customer based on ourselves and try to find more like-minded people. We've been trying to imagine what questions we would ask if we were going to buy grass-fed beef off someone, but our customers aren't likely to be as well educated in this area. Yes, just like we talked earlier about to Anna. On the worksheet, we're asked to listen to our customers' questions for email marketing topics to see what our actual customers are needing more information on. Maybe our actual customers are less educated than our ideal customer. Yes. If we started talking to our less than ideal customer, how does that reconcile with attracting our ideal customer through communicating to them through our marketing? All right, so Curtis, you also mentioned in your email question that it was like I was telling you two contradictory things. And I want to point out that when you learn marketing, it's different than math. So math is very linear. If you learn to add, then you move on to subtraction, and then in school you move on to multiplication. You remember all this, but when you get to multiplication, you don't have to go back and learn to add again, right? So it's very linear. By the time you get to step 4, you don't need to go back to step 1. Well, in what I'm teaching you here and in communications, in marketing, it's a circular process. So it's like we're drawing these circles, we're circling around, and we're moving forward on a timeline, but we keep circling back and then going forward. So you're going to identify your ideal customer today. And yes, they are probably going to have no idea anything about grass-fed beef. Most people come to our store, many people, and they say, I don't know why I need to buy your products, but someone told me I need to, so give me some beef. They don't even care. They don't even question why. They just do that because someone else referred them there. So they don't even know what questions to ask. And remember, people buy off trust and relationships. So they don't even care at that point. All they know is they trust you, so they're going to buy it. But yes, your customers aren't going to be as educated as you are. All right, so come up with an ideal customer and know that, okay, maybe that's where our ideal customer will be in a year from now after I've been able to send out 12 blog posts getting them to that education level. But know that you're speaking to a very uneducated customer at first, and you're going to go back and update that ideal customer as you learn more. All right, and then you talk about listen to your ideal customer's questions for email marketing. So I want to suggest too that you're when you tell people out in the world that I can't remember if you said your farm isn't started yet or not, but when you tell people you're going to start selling grass-fed beef, then what do they say? Do they say, oh, why are you doing that? Or, you know, and so listen for those questions. The other thing you can do, Curtis, is go to Facebook and type in something like, I might start with something in your area. There's something on the screen, Hayden. I'm calling my daughter to fix this. Do I just click on OK? Okay. All right, sorry. Okay, I don't want to break the whole webinar. So back to Curtis, go to Facebook and look under like your state. If you live in Wyoming, put Wyoming homesteaders. And then at the top on the menu bar where it says groups, click on groups. Look for a homesteading group. And then scroll down through the homesteading group. And at some point, you're going to see somebody on there saying, 2 beef cows for sale. Anyone want some beef? And then scroll down and look at the comments below that and see what people are asking, because those are going to be fairly uneducated people. Those people are going to be at the same level as your ideal customer. Some will be more, but others are going to ask questions. Okay, so those are going to be the questions that you will want to start, writing blog posts about. You can also look on, if you think you want ideal customers who believe in natural medicine or naturopathic care or chiropractor. Well, find a chiropractor. And again, Facebook is a good place to go do this because it's just open for so many comments, or find a blog of a chiropractor who maybe recommended grass-fed beef, and go to that blog post and look for comments and see what people are asking. So this is forcing you to do some work. Also, maybe get out in your neighborhood. So I have, for instance, I have a chiropractor in a nearby town who sends me lots of business, and I have not been to see him yet, but I need to make time to do that. And what I was going to do was I was going to take him like a couple pounds of hamburger and a T-bone steak, and I was going to say, thank you for all the customers you've been sending us our way. And I was just wondering, what makes you send them to us? What reason are you sending them to us? And he's going to say something like, oh, well, when they come in and they want stronger bones, I tell them to go to you. And so then I know that I have a whole bunch of customers that buy from us that are, and I'm just making that up because I haven't been to visit him yet. But go to the people who are telling people to eat grass-fed beef and find out what people are asking them. So this is requiring you to do some homework and to talk to people. And then, since the other thing you mentioned is you have customers that you don't necessarily like and you don't want to work with them, it might mean that you have to find, you know, where do you guys hang out? Where does your family hang out? Is it church? Is it the gym? It might mean you need to get in front of more of your community, because I run into people everywhere that say, oh, wow, you have eggs? We've been looking for farm fresh eggs. Or, oh my gosh, you have pastured pork? We've been looking for that. So everywhere I go, I run into people and can start up a conversation on our pastured meat. And if I think they're a good fit, invite them to join my email list right there on the spot, right on my phone. You know, so get out there more and talk to people. Also, I told you by email, follow up. If this isn't enough information for you, ask me more questions. But basically, you need to just get started. You know, think of the last 5 people you told you were going to sell your meat to. You told them about that, and go ask them to get on your email list. So I'm just asking you to interact with people more, and we all need to be doing that. Because that's where the information is, really, that we need to help with our market. You know, they're telling us what we need to do to market. Okay, I'm going to go back to Karen's question. She says, is it better to use your personal name or your farm name? Yours is almost both. I don't use my personal name, just the farm's name. Yeah, Karen, I always recommend using your personal name. And we have that in a future module, don't we? We talk about. Oh, yeah. Do you? Oh, I see. Oh, on the actual business, Karen, do you mean your business name? Like on your website, or do you mean when you send emails out? All right, so I need more clarification of use your personal name or your farm name. When I send an email out, it comes from my personal name, if that's what you're asking. And yeah, if you're talking about what to call your business, I don't think that matters. You know, you might, there's a reason my personal name is in my business, but that may or may not apply to you. So you can come up with, you know, if your farm, if you wanted to name your farm Rainbow Acres, that's fine. Just make sure you have Rainbow Acres grass-fed beef or Rainbow Acres raw milk dairy or something like that. And then your email should come from your personal name. And we talk about that in future modules. Okay. Oh, Karen, you're Woodbridge Dairy Farm. Yay. No, I think you want to be Woodbridge Dairy Farm on Facebook. Definitely. So keep your Facebook page as Woodbridge Dairy Farm and your personal name for emails. You're right on track there. All right. Okay. So then we had some questions on, should I have 1 or 2 ideal customers? And I think we're getting close to the end here. This is Jennifer Judson. So she's got her email list done. She's still working on her website, an ideal customer. She sells meat and eggs from the farm, but she also makes milk soaps and skincare products that I sell at a few stores, farmers markets, and bazaars. Should I create 2 ideal customers and merge them into 1? All right. Excuse me, Jennifer. I always recommend everybody start with one ideal customer, period. It's going to simplify your life. You're learning new information here, so it's going to be too challenging to start with 2 ideal customers. Now, and I am guessing that the people who buy your meat and eggs might be similar to the people that buy your soap and skin care products, even though they're sold at different stores, right? Okay, so the only reason you would have 2 completely different customers is, for instance, I don't think this would be the case, but here is a reason you might, but I highly doubt that this is the case. You would say the people buying your meat and eggs, you are marketing to homesteading, or maybe not homesteading, maybe homeschooling mothers who are teaching their children at home and they live nearby and you all go to the same church and they buy your meat and eggs. And then your soaps and skincare products are in stores where women who are CEOs of corporations and wearing high heels and have lots of money, and your soaps are very expensive and they live in the city, and they're going to respond to different marketing than the other group, then you'd have 2 ideal customers. But because they're very, very different, they're from very different socioeconomic levels maybe, but very different values and belief systems. You've got mothers homeschooling their kids, and CEOs of corporations driving fancy cars on the other hand. So that's 2 very different customers, but I highly doubt that's the case because your personal values are going to influence your business. All right. So come up with just one ideal customer, and then down the road, if you find there are 2, a year from now, you can merge into 2 ideal customers if you want, but you need to really keep it simple in order for you to be successful. Otherwise, you will be too crazy trying to write marketing material for 2 different groups of people. All right. And then lastly, this is Peggy Boone, who says, same thing, 2 ideal customers. And there is a really good reason that Peggy should have 2 different customers. And this might apply to farmers. So she has a business to business, if that makes sense, where she is selling dairy goats to other farmers. So she is a dairy goat, raising dairy goats, selling them to other farmers. So it's not direct to consumer like her raw milk on her dairy business. It's business to business. And then her raw milk is business to consumer. Does that make sense? So she has 2 different businesses. The people who are buying her milk are not the people who are buying her goats. Because if you have a goat and you're milking it, you don't need to buy Peggy's milk. So I know that makes sense. So you are writing to 2 very different customers. All right. And I put this on here because I like Peggy's detail in her ideal customers. And I wanted to do this as an example for you guys to read it and see her great detail. Her dairy goat business, her ideal customer is a lady who understands the difference between a dairy goat versus a show goat, which would not be me because I don't understand the difference. So she's very specific. Desires extended lactations, which I do understand. Desires strong, correct conformation. Values high butterfat, easy to kid, easy to milk. So those are all very similar things to a milk cow. And then, of course, the people buying her raw milk, she understands and accepts that prices may need to be increased. That's a wonderful trait because I did not put that at first 4 years ago until I went through raising my prices and then thought, my ideal customer, I want people who understand why I have to do that and don't, argue with me. So that's a great example right there. Willing to sign a contract, not a complainer. I mean, look at these things she's putting us. She wants ideal customers who don't complain. That's great. So this is how detailed I want you to get. Understands raw milk and milk products. Now, she has that detail, and that might be something that she has to educate them on the value of raw milk and milk products. They may come to her saying, I don't know anything about it, but I heard I should buy it. So therefore, some blog posts in the future can be about educating them on that. So anyway, I had Peggy's on there to really show you the detail she went to in her 2 different ideal customers. All right, I think we're to the end. Yep. So if you have any other questions, sure. Yeah. If you have any other questions, you can go ahead and ask them now. And there's just a very slight delay. So otherwise, we don't have any more questions. I want to make sure you know this material is available for you to go over and over again and again. I teach this stuff. I wrote this course and I still go through the course with you guys every time I do it. And every time I do it, it affects my business. My business grows, my ideal customer narrows, my profits increase. So don't stop at what you've done this week. Keep going. It's packed full of learning, and next week we dive into even more stuff. And remember, you can ask questions anytime throughout the week. We can get back to you then, and depending on the question, we might save it for the webinar. And so I think that's it. Module 2 comes out tomorrow, and you'll get an email in the morning with the link, and we will see you on the webinar for that next week, and see you in the Facebook group too. So everyone pop in there, and the more active you are in sharing what you're learning and reading about what other people are learning and listening to the webinar, even if you don't have a question, the more you listen to what's going on, the more you will learn, and the more you will change, and the more your business will evolve. So if you thought that you were just going to sit back and go through it on your own, you won't get nearly as much out of it as if you listen to everything and read it over and over. And oh, Lori, good. So Lori's internet connection went out while I answered her question, but you will get the recording in what, like an hour? Yeah, a couple hours. You're going to get the recording in an hour. So Lori, that's great. And I will see you all over in the Facebook group. So bye-bye, everyone, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, turn me off.